Live from Idaho's News Channel 7, this is the News at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We start with the extensive flooding spreading across southern Idaho. And as you can see, the images coming from the Weiser area are startling. This is video from our Sky 7 drone, giving you a whole new perspective on the damage in Weiser, where temperatures caused ice along the river to break free, diverting the water into homes. We have team coverage of the rising waters around the region. Brian Holmes is in the Weather Center with our rain outlook. Alex Livingston is covering a joint news conference with the governors of Idaho and Oregon. But first, we start with Morgan Boynston, who is in Weiser and talked with several homeowners who have been impacted by the flooding in Morgan. Some had to be rescued.
Yeah, that's right, Tammy. Several homeowners here in Weiser either evacuated or had to be rescued after floodwaters stranded them inside their homes. Some of the worst damage here where I'm standing right now off Cove Road and Cooper Road. What I'm standing on right now is actually a paved road. The road next to me, a paved road as well, both completely washed out and unrecognizable. The water right here up to my ankles. I'm surrounded by debris, chunks of ice and snow. A field behind me rushing with water, also completely washed out.
It's just devastation. We couldn't believe it.
Parts of Weiser and low-lying areas in Washington County started flooding overnight after an ice jam blocked the Weiser River from flowing into the Snake.
In a matter of hours, filled the place up.
Pushing water over the banks, turning fields and pastures into rivers and lakes.
It's flooded here before, but we've never seen it ever flood like this before, where it literally looks like a river running right through the middle of their farm.
I don't know how much longer I'd have made it out there, to tell you the truth, because it was bad cold.
William Shanahan was stuck in his house for hours, waiting out this historic flood. Around 2 o'clock, the Idaho Army National Guard came and helped save Shanahan.
Pretty soon, your hands get numb and your legs, and it's hard to function.
Emergency responders jumped out into the deep water near Shanahan's house.
And I heard a helicopter above my house and stuff. Pretty soon these guys in wetsuits and stuff's beating on the, telling me get up, open the door. I said, I'm so cold I can't do nothing. And they got come around to the front door, it was open.
They hoisted him up into the helicopter, rushing him to the Weiser airport. There are still several cows out in the corral on his property, and his dog was still inside. As for his home,
about everything in there is ruined.
And he says he doesn't have flood insurance.
It hurts you, everything, most of your stuff in your life, and losing part of your life, you know.
Another family who lives off Cove Road was rescued early Friday morning. After James Harvey and his wife got a flash flood alert on their cell phones around 4:30 a.m., they grabbed their kids and grandkids and rushed outside to leave. But the water had already taken over their yard.
The water was right there. I mean, it was that quick. I mean, there was no time to even move.
So they hopped on top of their cars where emergency crews were able to get to them.
It's something that you would not believe if you even had to go through it.
Crews also rescued 5 of their horses, but as of Friday evening, their 2 dogs were still inside and their 2 goats on the porch.
More depressing than you can speak words.
Now, he says, his home is a total loss.
It don't look like my house. I'm wondering what I'm even going to do. This is a disaster.
People who were rescued tell me they're extremely grateful to the first responders for saving their lives. The water has receded, believe it or not, quite a bit since this morning. I'm told the last time it flooded this bad was 1997, but I'm also told that the river does overflow pretty much every single winter, but obviously not this bad. And as many of you may be aware of, Weiser has been having an extremely tough winter this year. The season really harsh, collapsing a lot of onion sheds and barns across the area under all that heavy snow and rain.
Oh, just incredible damage there. Thank you, Morgan. A flood warning is in effect until tomorrow afternoon. US 95, including the Weiser River Bridge, is blocked in both directions because of high water, but people can still get to town on Highway 201 and through the Unity Bridge. In Payette, Governor Butch Otter and Oregon's Governor Kate Brown took a tour to look at all of the damage from collapsed roofs to flooding. Alex Livingston was there for a joint press conference. She joins us now live from the Oregon-Idaho border.
Tammy, weather does not stop at state borders, so areas in both Oregon and Idaho are really feeling the impacts of this extreme winter, and that's exactly why officials say that they're coming together to recover and to regroup.
I know the impact, particularly in the agricultural sector, has been devastating.
It's not just a job, it's their livelihood.
I haven't seen anything like this in my time in Oregon. This looks like tornado country. I mean, I just can't believe the level of devastation.
Onion crates destroyed, roofs collapsed under feet of heavy snow. It's a familiar scene at processing plants across the region, devastating farmers, their families, and the economy.
They've suffered tremendously over the last several weeks.
From the sky, Oregon Governor Kate Brown and Governor Butch Otter could see just how far the damage reached.
We saw a lot of devastation, and we heard about a lot of devastation.
This video, taken from that aerial tour, captures a rescue of 2 Weiser residents.
Back when they first told me about this couple was trapped on their roof, and should we order up the mission, I said absolutely. Obviously, very reassuring for me to see it actually happening.
As the temperatures rise and the snow piles feet high starts to melt.
But our concerns is if this levee breaks, we're all in trouble. We've had to dig our place out 3 times. As you can see, it's tore up now.
Officials are in a race against the clock.
How do we move? How do we make changes? How do we make it happen quickly?
The offices of emergency management in both Idaho and Oregon are working to gather damage assessments.
We know in this part of the country that we have winter storms followed by spring flooding, followed by summer fires, followed by more winter storms, and it's a cycle that continues.
It's a cycle that has delivered blow after blow.
We are working every single day to make sure that we can find as many tools in the toolbox to assist with recovery efforts.
And moving forward, officials say they are working together to find ways to dispose of the onions, the equipment, and all the sheds that have been destroyed. Governor Otter says it's going to be a long road ahead that's going to require some patience. Tammy?
Alex, thank you for that live report. Temperatures are expected to remain mild for the next several days, and that means we could see more melting snow and flooding. But Brian, there is some good news, right?
Yeah, there is some good news. We're going to see cooler temperatures and drier conditions over the next several days. But as Morgan talked about, the last time that Weiser had seen flooding like this, back in 1997, that was when the water was at its highest ever at 17.2 feet. So today we topped out about 12 feet. But you combine that with the ice jams that diverted all of that water out around the area for most of the part of today. That's what caused the most damage for today. It's that combination of the ice dams and the water. So the water wasn't as high, but it certainly spread out and caused a lot of damage. Some very, very devastating video from Weiser and, of course, Payette as well. But this is what we're looking at right now. We're still under a flood warning until tomorrow morning for the Weiser River, especially around that area. And several other areas are also under watches and warnings. Bruno River till about Monday morning at 5:45 in the morning, with waters coming down out of the Owahis and such. And so you can see we've lost a few areas when it comes to some flooding issues that we had earlier this afternoon. Those have since subsided, and the warnings have been rescinded, but we still have some areas, some hot spots. Saturday at 4:30 is when we're still expecting that to happen in Twin Falls, for that flood warning to go away and to expire. But most of the moisture that has come through has started to clear out a little bit, and so we're also going to see some breaks in the clouds overnight tonight. The warm temperatures also going to start to change. 40 degrees. This is kind of where we started for today. So we're already starting to see some of that colder air in place after that cold front came through today. And so that just means hopefully we'll put the brakes on when it comes to some of this melting snow. Coming up, we're going to talk about how long these cooler temperatures are going to stick around, plus more rain on the way.
Brian, thank you. We have some road closures in Valley County to tell you about now. Take a look at a photo from Yellow Pine of the snow piling up. The road leading in and out of that town is closed because of ongoing landslides on the East Fork Road. Road conditions have been treacherous because of mud and ice. Also, Warren Wagon Road is closed to all travel because of a slide between Deep Creek and Fisher Creek. Brush Creek is also closed because of a road washout. Part of Highway 21 is closed about 15 miles north of Idaho City. The closure includes the area between Moores Creek Summit and Beaver Creek Summit, which runs from milepost 59 to just past milepost 56. The Idaho Transportation Department says the area is closed due to flooding. There are several other closures around the state, and you can always check the latest road reports on our website at ktvb.com. You can also find those road reports and the latest weather updates by downloading the KTVB weather app. Stay with us. Brian is taking an in-depth look at why we're seeing the weather we've been seeing next. For the past several months, southern Idaho has been dealing with weather conditions that, if not unprecedented, have certainly been some we haven't seen in decades. Brian Holmes joins us now to explain why what we've seen should not have come as a complete surprise to everyone.
Well, Tammy, the foundation for this winter of white and the February of flooding was set way back in the summer of 2015. That's when an El Nino set up in the Pacific that many thought would become one of the strongest on record. Well, this winter has certainly been one for the record books. We've seen temperatures that have averaged about 10 degrees below where they should be for the last couple of months. January alone saw 5 days with below zero temperatures, where normally we only get 2 for the entire season. And precipitation has been a little bit overwhelming as well, to say the least. Rain totals in Boise have been around 7 inches. That's about 2 more than we usually get. And the snow has been piling up in Boise as well, to the tune of nearly 40 inches, which is about twice the number we usually get. But this isn't something we didn't exactly see coming.
There's 77.5 for depth. But what we've seen more in the past is the years that follow a strong El Nino, the oceans and the atmosphere have a lot of energy to get rid of. And that's what we're seeing now with a very active jet stream and weather pattern.
Well, that weather pattern has led to a mountain snowpack that's about 120% of average. As Ron Abramovich said, we have El Nino to thank for that. But what does that mean? So here's what happens during a normal year when we're not in El Nino. The trade winds will push all of the warm water that's along the equator to the west, and it'll just kind of take over and bring rain showers and thunderstorms to the western Pacific. However, during El Nino years, the trade winds reverse, push all that warm water to the eastern Pacific, and this is what we're left with when it comes to temperatures across the equator. Warmer than average temperatures. This is a view of 97, 98 versus the view of 2015 going through this summer. And you can see how they thought this was going to be a significant El Nino, with the numbers showing that the temperatures very high when it comes to the El Nino threshold. Now, during El Nino weather patterns, we see warm, dry conditions across the northern half of North America, wet, cooler conditions across the southern half. Now, the converse of that, what happens after that, is kind of a course correction, if you will. This, again, is the map of where those temperatures were across the equator for 2015, indicated by this black line. This is the El Nino threshold. This is the La Nina threshold. So as those temperatures dip, we did go into La Nina for this fall going through this winter. 97, 98, by the way, went way down below the threshold, and so it lasted a little bit longer. But as you can see, we're just barely into the La Nina threshold, but enough to give us some precipitation that comes out of the Pacific, because all of that moisture is out there as the warm water moves back toward the west. In the La Nina time, we're here with some polar jet stream pushing all of the cooler air up and around Alaska. Warmer temperatures in Alaska, but cool and wet conditions across the northwest, which is what we've seen for this winter so far. But recent measurements show that everything's kind of course corrected itself even further, and we're seeing warmer temperatures now coming back into play along the equator, along the eastern Pacific. And so now it looks as if La Nina has ended. So La Nina has ended, and forecast models going forward show everything kind of returning to normal, which means we're going to see the waterworks kind of dwindle off here over the next several months. And by the time we get to about mid-July, we're going to be flirting with triple-digit temperatures once again, and probably be wishing we had a little bit more of that snowpack around. Well, one good thing of La Nina has been the drought conditions that we've seen over the last year. This is a look at the 12 months, and you can see the extreme drought conditions through California and even across the rest of the West. But as we got into the fall and into the winter, you're going to see those numbers start to dwindle a little bit and conditions improve everywhere. So there is a benefit to La Nina. I know it's been devastating for many areas, especially across the western end of the Treasure Valley for this season, but we are going to get better. We're going to dry out a little bit, and I'm going to explain what we're going to look like for the next couple of days coming up right after this.
From News Channel 7, time for 7 First Alert Weather.
Let's start off with some beautiful pictures that have been sent in on Twitter for this evening. You can see Sun Valley Resort looking at Dollar Mountain there with the beautiful sunset, something we haven't seen much of, they say, there in Sun Valley because of the cloud cover and the snow. Meanwhile, tonight, with the snow moon in effect, the full moon for February, you can see how it glistens off the hills and the mountains in Sun Valley or around Sun Valley, so it's a very spectacular evening for tonight in the Central Mountains. Meanwhile, this is the view off of Bogus Basin. and looking down over the valley. Still getting some cloud cover out there, so we're not quite getting a view of the snow moon here in the Treasure Valley, with even some scattered showers out there. As you look at Storm Tracker 7000, very isolated, very scattered, not really anything holding together. But as we take a bigger view, you can see it's just kind of spreading out a little bit. Got a little bit moving through Twin Falls right now, but everything is drying out, and it's going to stay that way through the weekend. So that's the good news. We're also going to see these temperatures cool off after that cold front passed through earlier this evening. So with cooler temperatures, that'll help slow the melting, the rapid melting that we've seen the last couple of days. And with the cooler temperatures, the dry conditions, we should not also see more snow or rain falling onto what is already beginning to melt or really melting in the clear skies. Overhead for tonight, we may see some patchy areas of fog, especially toward the lower end of the Treasure Valley for tonight. As we take a look at the futurecast, there's really nothing out there that's going to affect us for the next several days. A ridge of high pressure moving in is going to keep us high and dry and a little bit cooler with that colder air trapped inside, which means also a possibility of a weak inversion setting up as we get into the first of next week. But as you take a look at the Magic Valley forecast for tonight, look for partly cloudy skies, temperatures down around 40 degrees, but those overnight lows getting down below freezing. So that's the key for when it comes to the melting and the rapid runoff we've seen the last several days. Are these temperatures really cooling off? Mountain locations expected to be right around freezing for daytime highs. Still a chance of a flurry or two for tomorrow morning, both in the central mountains and the west central mountains, with temperatures around 31 degrees and mostly cloudy skies through the west central mountains. We'll see clearer skies after we burn off some of these patchy areas of fog. Not expected to be very dense or widespread, but be aware of it as you're getting out for tomorrow morning. And we'll see some of that in the upper Treasure Valley with temperatures in Boise around 42 degrees. So we've dropped about 15 degrees in a couple of days, or will have dropped by the time we get to tomorrow, with temperatures up around 57 yesterday. But this ridge of high pressure here off the Pacific is going to pull in and hold over everything and keep everything out of the area. So that's why we're expected to remain dry, and those cooler temperatures are going to remain locked in place. And when I say cooler, this is where we should be for this time of year. It's just going to be cooler than the near 60 to mid 50s that we've seen the last couple of days. So look for some winds to pick up as well. That's going to help dry things out a little bit, but still looking at cooler temperatures. And then as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to see a next storm system come in. That's going to pull up some warmer air out of the southwest, and that'll help us warm back up into the upper 40s going into next weekend. So kind of a stable situation over the next several days, and we could certainly use it.
That's for sure. And the sun will feel nice, won't it?
No matter where you are.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you, Brian. Coming up, local students spend the day helping provide meals to thousands of people in the Treasure Valley. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Students at a Meridian school spent today helping provide meals to thousands of people in need around the Treasure Valley. Take a look at some photos from today's Feed the Need event at the Ambrose School. As we also saw last year, the school teamed up with Homestead Ministries to package soup mixes made with spices, beans, peas, lentils, wheat, and barley. Homestead Ministries, based in Colfax, Washington, buys or receives donations of those grains from farmers and processors around the region. Each bag of soup mix is enough to provide 6 meals. Ambrose students, parents, and guests plan to put together 21,000 bags. They will be distributed to needy families through the Boise Rescue Mission. Boise's newest hotel had an official grand opening today. Mayor Dave Beater and dozens more came out for the ribbon cutting at the Inn at 500 Capitol. The hotel will be holding open houses and tours all weekend long. Many of the 100-plus rooms are unique to Idaho. We got a look inside this afternoon and put up a slideshow on our website, ktvb.com. The hotel is located at the corner of Capitol Boulevard and Myrtle Street. Looks beautiful. I went in there and it is very pretty. I like the restaurant, Richards, as well. So.
All right.
Well,
restaurant recommendations.
I'm hungry, so I was thinking about Richards earlier. Yeah. Well, Will, you've been busy with basketball tonight.
Yeah, just got back from Caldwell. Yotes with the top 25 showdown tonight, hosting Oregon Tech. It was a battle, a fun one for the Yote fam. Also, the girls 5A district championship tonight as well. Highlights galore after the break. Eagle and Centennial battling for the 5A SIC Girls District Championship tonight. The Mustangs seeking their first district title in 19 years. The Patriots, meanwhile, in search of their second in the last 3 seasons. It was a packed house tonight over at Mountain View. A fun environment indeed. We pick things up in the second quarter. Future BYU coup, Gabby Mangum buries the deep 3 there. Mustangs up 7. Centennial would battle back, though. Alicia Curry, no relation to Steph, we don't think, off the glass there. And then a little bit later on, cleaning up down low. This is Curry again. Eagles still up 6 after the basket. 3 seconds before halftime here. The buzzer beater, first half style, you betcha. Jamie McKinney knocks it down, beats the buzzer. The crowd loving it. More Mustangs in the second half. Mangum going baseline. Eagle, your 5A SIC district champion. They head to state next week at 23-1 overall. Big congrats to Cody Pickett and his entire program.
I think everybody's got a lot of, pent-up frustration that they would like to, show that we can play with these guys. And
just 4 weeks ago, Scott Garson and the College of Idaho suffered a 33-point loss at 15th-ranked Oregon Tech. Needless to say, revenge squarely on the minds of the Yotes tonight in the return game in Caldwell. The Yote fam wild as always tonight, going with the whiteout. 2 thumbs up from me, fellas. Second half, C of I up 3, Manny Morgan. The dime to Roosevelt Adams for the layup. Yotes up 4. Joey Nebeker, the former Melba star, nice dime himself to Aziz Leaks. Aziz had 13 tonight. And then another beauty of a pass here from Nebeker. Baseline kicks out to Manny Morgan. Manny, bingo. He had 16 tonight. Later on, this is former Centennial star Dallin Pinckney on the drive. Aitor Zubi-Zareta leading the way with 25 tonight. A big-time win for Garson, the Yotes. They knock off the 15th-ranked team in the country by a big margin tonight. Leon Rice and the Broncos looking to keep the momentum rolling. The Broncos currently on a 3-game winning streak, getting set to host Air Force tomorrow afternoon. Boise State entering the game tied atop the Mountain West standings with Nevada, taking on a Falcons team that is 0-9 so far on the road this season. But the Falcons have beaten the likes of Fresno State and San Diego State. Coach Rice knows they can't take the Falcons in their unique style of play lightly tomorrow.
They can really get it going from 3. I mean, this is a team that can really shoot the 3, and if we're not locked into guarding them, we know it's going to be battle. It's a lot like their football program. They have a unique style. They have an energy and an effort level that's uncommon.
Tip-off set for 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at Taco Bell Arena. The Boise State wrestling team will celebrate Senior Day with 2 home matches Sunday afternoon. The Broncos boast 2 seniors, including former Centennial standout Austin Dewey, who's eager to end his career at home with a bang.
It's bittersweet. I'm super excited. I've been here 5 years, started the last 4. Nothing has brought me more excitement than starting for these guys here and working hard with these guys here and wrestling for such a great program. But at the same time, it's the saddest moment of my life. I'm something I put in more time than I could ever imagine, but it's a nice way to end it.
Matches get underway on Sunday at 2 o'clock. We're back in the news at 10 right after the break.
As you plan your weekend hike or bike ride, managers of trails in the Ridge to River system urge you to use alternatives like the Greenbelt, local parks, and dirt roads if the trails are muddy. Using them when they're wet can lead to significant damage. Sounds like the sun's going to help that.
It will help. The wind will help. But also remember, city parks are also a little bit soggy. I know that some spring sports are starting up here in the next couple of weeks, and I think Boise City Parks and Rec is asking people to kind of wait on getting those practices on those fields yet because it'll damage them as well.
Yeah, good advice. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.